let's get into it, man. Let's get into NBA Heat check, man. Yo, the NBA was literally on fire today, man.
Yes, it
Lots
was.
and lots of news to get to. I'm your boy NYG Double Deuce, aka Unpopular Opinion Sports, here with my co-host Big Pat Sports Talk and Coach Ed Gladney from Coach Ed's Amazing World of Sports, man. Our resident coach in the building, man. And look, Coach Pat, Dame Lillard is a free agent, if you could believe that. Yeah, I said it. Damian Lillard is a free agent. The Milwaukee Bucks, for some odd reason, decided to release the man. Now, caveat, he's hurt. Probably gonna miss most, if not all, of next season. But again, we talking about Dame Dollar, Dame Time, Damian Lillard, one of the most clutch players in the NBA. You know, we're talking about somebody who the Bucks traded for. We're talking about somebody that was supposed to be Giannis's right-hand man moving forward into the future, and they were supposed to build a championship contender in Milwaukee with Damian Lillard and Giannis. Now, Dame's gone, and questions about Giannis, but the Bucks did make a corresponding move, and we're gonna get into that here in just a little bit. But I want to get Pat and Coach's reaction to this Dame Lillard news, because I was shocked, absolutely shocked, man. Talk to him, fellas, man. What y'all think about this?
I think it's a weird situation. It looks like it was a very expensive, weird experiment that didn't go correct. They brought Dame Lillard over, like you said, to be that 1-2 punch with Giannis, the Greek freak, and it didn't quite work out. And I do believe they made a mistake getting rid of Drew Holiday and some of those people from that championship team that they got. And, you know, they brought in Doc Rivers and everything. I think they just really messed up this team. Trying to make this team more of a big market type team to try to bring some more star power and Doc Rivers and Dame Lillard and getting some other guys. And it just didn't work out, man. Some teams are just supposed to be blue-collar teams. Supposed to have people like Bobby Portis out there. Supposed to have people like Drew Holiday out there. With the Bucks, they're a blue-collar team. You know, if the Pacers are small market, you know Milwaukee is super small market. So it's just tragic what happened to Dame Lillard with the injury, the Achilles injury. So you'll probably miss this whole season. But I think it was just an expensive failed experiment for the Bucks, man, and it should have never happened. Dame Lillard should have never left Portland, and the Bucks should have never allowed Drew Holiday to walk out, man. I do believe that team could have contended in the East for years if they would have kept that team together, because it was strong defensively, and Giannis had the offense correct. They had shooters around them. Middleton, sad for him, he kept getting hurt too, but I mean, it is what it is, man. You had Biggs and Lopez and Bobby Portis and Giannis. Yeah, a whole bunch of people on that team, and they just screwed it up, man. But, Coach, what you think about the whole thing?
I think this move coincides with the other moves that they did, especially the big free agent move that they did. You know, we're going to talk about those a little bit later, but you know, with this move, I think Shams was talking about that last night on the ESPN Sports Center late night, where they're spreading his contract out over quite a few years, so they don't eat all that money right away. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, last year he's averaging 24.9 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 7.1 assists on roughly 45% shooting from the field, from the floor, about 38% from the 3-point line, and 92% from the free throw line. There's also an efficiency field goal rating of 54.7. So that's someone who, I know he has the Achilles. You still want to keep that around because that's still a top-notch player in the NBA. That's not somebody who's a scrub who can't play. Now, I understand when you come back from the Achilles, your point production will go down. I mean, even Kobe Bryant, when he had that Achilles, he lost 5 points when he came back. So it does take some time. So if you just figure 5 points, he's still giving you 19, 20 points a game. You can expect him to give you 19, 20 points a game, roughly. So I think this is more about the money and the ability to get other free agents, because don't forget, they lost Brook Lopez. So that's also a big blow. So, this is more about that than anything else. I don't think they don't think he can play. It's just right now. And then with Giannis, you have all the drama with Giannis. Is he going to leave? Is he going to stay? He's monitoring what Milwaukee is doing. So I think this is about the money and trying to get other players in here that can, number one, keep Giannis there and help them win.
Yeah, man. Definitely. But staying Lillard though, man, and you think you want to get something for him. I mean, you just letting him walk. Now he can go to possibly one of your rivals and haunt you for the foreseeable future. And don't even talk about Giannis possibly leaving. Oh man. If he leaves, Lord, and you don't get nothing for him or Dame Lillard, nasty word. But the Bucks are not, resting or laying, folding their hands and just not doing nothing. They went out and got Miles Turner. Big man Miles Turner, we all know him from, of course, the Pacers. They were just in the NBA Finals not too long ago, man. But Miles Turner signing with the Bucks, gonna replace Brook Lopez, who went to the Clippers. So now Miles Turner's not a bad player. I personally don't like his game, but that doesn't mean he's not a contributor in the NBA. He's a good player. He can stretch the floor for you. He can get physical, as y'all say, when he wants to. But, he's a big guy. He's got length, size, and he can score and he can shoot the three. So that is very valuable in today's NBA. But is this enough? Is this move? I mean, they made other moves. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. But is this enough for them to possibly keep Giannis calm? I think that's what they're trying to do. Trying to appease him in some way. But it's head scratching, because how you doing that? You traded a multi-time All-Star, possibly future Hall of Famer. But Miles Turner, let's speak on that, man. What does he bring to the Bucks, man? Pat, start with you.
Well, if Miles Turner is on this game, he does bring a bigger presence down low to go with Bobby Portis and the Greek Freak himself, low post presence. And if he's shooting the way that they want him to shoot, it could be a good pickup for him, because Giannis can get in the post, he can kick it out to Turner, he can hit those corner threes. I do believe Turner will get a lot more open threes playing with the Greek Freak out there that he was doing with the Pacers. I do believe he'll get more open shots. But he's going to have to go down there and be a good rebounder for him. They're going to need his rebounding help. It can't be Giannis with all the offense and playing defense and grabbing rebounds and getting assists and doing this and doing that. And ain't nobody else doing anything out there to help him down there in the low post. Is he going to be able to be that defensive force, that they're losing with Lopez? Bobby Portis is going to do his thing. He's going to give you some open shooting as well. But I think Miles Turner is going to have to get a lot stronger down there in the post, and he's going to have to get more consistent with his three-point shot. When he's on, he's on. But when he's off, he's way off. So we'll see what Miles Turner can do out there with the Bucks. Coach, what you think about what Miles Turner can bring to this team with the Bucks, man?
Number one, NYG asks, is it enough? Don't forget, they're playing in the East. So right now, the East is wide open. So could it be enough to have them compete for the Eastern Conference Final? Possibly. It's a possibility. I mean, you still got, other teams that you still have to worry about. Cleveland, Orlando, Atlanta has done well. So yes, Detroit. So yes, but is it going to, does it diminish them? I don't, does it take away from what they did last year? No, I think it does help them to some regards. I mean, he's bringing you 15.6 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, on 48% field goal percentage, roughly 40% on three-point shooting, 77% on free throws, and his efficiency field goal percentage is about 58%. So he does bring you some value, to the table. So Pat made a good point as far as, the rebounding. He does have to up that up, because one thing about Brook Lopez, there are times that he can get you double-digit rebounds. So, he may be a little, cumbersome, but, as far as the three-pointer, they're both pretty much about the same. So they open up the lane for Giannis, so he's not losing anything there. Maybe he's a little bit more efficient as a three-point shooter than Brook. I'd have to look at Brook's numbers to really get a true understanding. But he's going to bring something. And also, he's younger than Brook Lopez, so that's another thing. He's under 30, so he's still young. So is this something that can keep Giannis here? Yeah, I think it does. I know some people are, a lot of people are still wondering, is he going to leave? Because he's monitoring, but he's also a loyal guy. He's very loyal, and he's trying to give Milwaukee every opportunity to put players around him to keep him there. So we'll see. Do I think they still have another move or two to do? Yes, but you know what? It's interesting, so I'm going to see.
And NYG, just to speak on what Coach was talking about, and I want you to look at this too, man. This is what the Milwaukee Bucks potential lineup is this upcoming season. You got Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Greek Freak, and Miles Turner. I don't think that's a bad lineup in the East. I don't think that's a bad lineup at all. So that's why I have, the sense of telling Giannis, man, just get focused, bro. Handle what you can handle, get focused, and I think you can do some damage out there in the East with this team. Because you gotta remember, the Knicks don't have a coach. The Pacers, Halliburton is gone, and you took away from the Pacers by getting their best big man in Miles Turner. The Celtics, Tatum is gone, and they're getting rid of everybody. The Pistons are very young. The Orlando Magic are very young. Like the Cavaliers, you could compete with the Cavaliers with that roster. I think they got a chance. After all the crazy stuff that's happened, I think they really got a chance.
The only question I would have is a true point guard. That's the only thing. Is Kevin Porter really a true point guard?
No, it's Giannis.
Exactly.
He handles the ball.
He handles it. So Dame, he could get guys set up. So we'll see what happens. I mean, now if they bring someone in, that's what I said. Still have to see what they're going to do. I don't know what their cap is. I don't know what their tax penalty is. So, there's still more to see going forward. But looking at this line, yeah, you're right, man. They can play some defense with that too. So
they did make some moves though. Some other moves. Now, Gary Trent Jr., of course, signed. He came in on a 2-year, $7.5 million deal. The Miles Turner deal was 4 years, 107. So, as you mentioned, Coach, that's where the Dame Lillard money is pretty much going. They bought back Jericho Sims.
Yep.
So, I mean, they're trying. They're trying. You got to give them that E for effort. They are trying. But I don't know, bro.
I mean, looking at Milwaukee's ratings last year, offensively they were 115.9, which was 11th in the league, and defensively they were 113.4, which was 12th. So that's a differential of 2.5, which would had them in the middle of the pack. So right there, that's telling me they're still a playoff team. So, and what they were 47, 48 wins last year. So, and again, in the East, we talked about it. Indiana is not going to, I'm sorry. You just took Miles Turner. That's the key cog. And then Halliburton is out for the most of the, if not all of the year. So that's those are two big starters off of their roster right there. So, you don't know what's up with Philly, what's happening with them. Boston, they're decimated. Detroit, we talked about, you said Detroit is young. They lost two of their key players in Schroeder and Tim Hardaway Jr. Now, those guys were key veterans that helped those young guys last year. So
don't forget about Beasley.
Yeah, Beasley. Yeah, so it's like, you sit and you talked about the Knicks. Now look, once they get the coach, we can make the joke about the coach. They don't have a coach. But look, they're not going to go into the season without a coach. So you look at what they're doing, they're still going to be a good team. So Orlando, anybody who knows me knows I've always been high on Orlando. They're they're bringing in quality players. Atlanta, you have to really like what they have done this free agency.
Yeah,
which we're going to get into a little bit later. So it's like the East, though. I mean, Cleveland mentally, the biggest thing with Cleveland, come playoff time, are they mentally broken? That's going to be my biggest thing with them because they have talent. Remember they were number one in the East, and they were there, but they lost to Indiana. So, and it's been 2 years in a row. So, are there any other moves that they can do? So, for Milwaukee, it's not far-fetched to think that they could be in the top 4. They really can.
Yeah, but what is that? Where's that get you though? Where's that get you? Giannis is talking about winning championships, and hang on.
But the thing about it is, you just want to be in that top 4 because nobody, all last year, nobody was talking about Indiana. Nobody was talking about Indiana. And then
where did they end up at?
They one game away from winning.
They went home.
They went home. But if it wasn't for the injury with Halliburton, you can make the argument that they could have competed with OKC, and that game would have been a lot different. So I'm not going to sit here and dismiss Indiana. My point being, you're saying about, well, what does that get you being in the top 4? You want to get hot in the playoffs and getting into that top 4. You don't know what happens. And you know what? Another move here or there, and guess what? Milwaukee could really be making some serious moves. So right now, and everything is contingent upon Giannis. If Giannis says, I want out, that shuts down everything with them. But if he's there and you put another piece or two around him, I'm not going to dismiss and just be like, oh, no, they got a long ways to go. No. If they can get into the top 4, They can do some damage, in my opinion.
I do think they can make the playoffs. I don't see this team right now as one of the top 4 teams. And let's let free agency play out though. Let's see what these other teams do. You know, and we're gonna get into that. Bucks, by the way, also signing Gary Harris forward to a 2-year deal with a player option too. Let's get into the Hawks. We did mention the Hawks and some of the moves that the Hawks made.
He's heating up.